Hiring is one most expensive decisions a small business owner makes, and most of us go into the interview completely unprepared. The candidate sits down, you glance at their resume for the first time properly, and you fall back on the same tired questions everyone asks. Tell me about yourself. What are your strengths and weaknesses? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? They give the polished answers they have given 10 times before. You both nod. It feels pleasant, and 40 minutes later you know almost nothing that will actually predict whether they can do the job. Then you hire on a gut feeling, and a bad hire in a small team is not a small mistake, it is months of pain. Here is the truth. You would never quote a big job off the top of your head, but you interview that way all the time. Today I want to show you how an AI assistant helps you prepare sharp, role-specific interview questions that actually reveal who can do the work. It preps, you judge, the interview you wing. Let us name where most owners get stuck and call it level 0. You wing the interview. You are busy, hiring is a distraction from running the business, so you do not prepare, you improvise. You ask the generic questions because they are the ones floating in everyone's head, and generic questions get rehearsed answers which tell you how well someone interviews, not how well they will work. Worse, you tend to hire the person you liked, the one who was easy to talk to, which feels like judgment but is often just similarity to you. So you end up choosing on charm and vibe, the two things a good interview is supposed to see past. That is level 0, an unprepared conversation that feels like an assessment but mostly measures who is comfortable in a room, then a hire made on a feeling you cannot quite explain. Before we open any tool, get clear on what a good interview is actually for, because it is not to have a nice chat. It is to find out 3 things you cannot get from a resume. First, can they actually do the work? Not talk about it, do it, which means questions about real situations, not hypotheticals. Second, how do they behave when things go wrong, under pressure, with a difficult customer, when they make a mistake, because that is who you are really hiring. And third, will they fit how your small team actually works? The pace, the mucking in, the wearing of many hats. Can they do it? How do they handle trouble? Will they fit the reality? Notice none of that is answered by strengths and weaknesses. Name those 3 targets and you know exactly what to ask an assistant to help you dig into. Give it the role and what good looks like. Here is the first move, and it is simpler than it sounds. You do not ask the AI for interview questions in general. You would get the same generic list. You give it the specifics only you have. Paste the job description, or if you do not have one, describe the role in plain words, what this person will actually do all day. Tell it what good looks like in your business, the behaviors that make someone great here, and the ones that quietly cause problems. And if you have the candidate's resume, give it that too, so the questions can probe the real gaps and claims. The role, your definition of good, the actual candidate. With those, the assistant is not handing you cliches, it is building questions aimed at the specific job and the specific person, the ones that get past the rehearsed answers to something real. Brief it like a thoughtful hiring manager. Now the shift that makes this work. You do not say, give me some interview questions. You brief it like a thoughtful hiring manager who wants to predict performance, not just fill the time. It sounds like this. Here is the role and what a great person in it actually does. And here is this candidate's resume. Give me interview questions that reveal whether they can really do this work, how they behave when things go wrong, and whether they fit a small hands-on team. Focus on real past situations, not hypotheticals, and for each question, tell me what a strong answer sounds like versus a weak one, so I know what I am listening for. That brief is the whole secret. You are not just collecting questions, you are getting a guide for how to hear the answers, which is the part most of us get wrong even when the questions are good. The jobs to ask for. Let me give you the specific jobs to ask for every time, because together they turn a chat into an assessment. 1. Write role-specific questions aimed at what this person will actually do, not generic filler. 2. Favor real past behavior. Tell me about the time you, because what someone has actually done predicts far better than what they say they would do. 3. Tell you what to listen for, a strong answer versus a weak one for each question, so you are evaluating, not just chatting. 4. Include a couple of questions that probe the resume, the gap, the short stint, the big claim, gently but directly. And 5. Suggest a simple practical task or scenario where it fits, because watching someone work beats any answer. Role-specific, real past behavior, what to listen for, probe the resume, a practical task. Ask for those 5 and your interview starts telling the truth. One interview start to finish. Let me make it concrete with a made-up example. Picture an owner we will call Nadia, who runs a small dental clinic and is hiring a front desk person, a role that is really about staying calm with anxious patients and juggling 100 small things. Normally, she would ask about strengths and weaknesses and hire whoever seemed nice. This time, she gives her AI assistant the role, what great looks like, calm under pressure, warm, organized, and the candidate's resume. It gives her questions like, tell me about a time an upset customer took it out on you. What did you do? And flags what a strong answer includes: ownership, calm, a real resolution. In the interview, the charming candidate crumbles on that one, while a quieter applicant gives a specific, impressive story. Nadia hires the quiet one, who turns out to be excellent. That is level 1. Now let me name the real difference this makes, because it is not about interrogating people. It is about seeing clearly before you make an expensive commitment. Level 0 is winging it with generic questions, getting rehearsed answers, and hiring the person you click with, which too often means the person most like you, then discovering the truth months later on the job. Level 1 is walking in with role-specific questions built to reveal real ability and real behavior, knowing in advance what a strong answer sounds like, so you evaluate instead of vibe. Your job shrinks from improvising and hoping to listening carefully against a clear standard. You still make the call, that is yours, but you make it on evidence you deliberately gathered rather than a feeling you cannot explain. Same 40 minutes, except this time they actually tell you who can do the job. This next part is not optional, so I want to be direct. The AI helps you ask and listen better, but hiring is a human judgment with real consequences, and you make it, not the tool. It can suggest what a strong answer sounds like, but you are the one in the room reading the person, and the checklist must never override clear evidence of who someone is. Be careful too that the questions stay fair and legal. Avoid anything about age, race, religion, family plans, or health, and if a suggested question strays there, cut it. Judge every candidate against the job, not against how much they remind you of you, which is exactly the bias good preparation is meant to counter. And remember, an interview is one imperfect window, so weigh it alongside references and real work. The AI sharpens your questions. You own the decision and the fairness. A simple way to start. If you want to try this, here is the low-effort way in, and it is smaller than it sounds. Do not redesign your whole hiring process. Before your very next interview, take 10 minutes, give your AI assistant the role and one line on what great looks like, and ask for 5 real situation questions plus what a strong answer sounds like for each. Print them and actually use them in the room instead of your usual openers. Just notice how different the answers are when you ask about a real time something happened versus a strength or weakness. That is the whole experiment. One interview, 5 better questions. Once you feel how much more you learn, you will never want to walk into a hire unprepared again, because you will have felt how much a good question reveals unprepared, the honest watch-outs. And because I promised no hype, here are the honest watch-outs, and please take them seriously. First, it does not make the decision, you do, so use its questions and its listen for notes as a guide, never as a verdict on a real person. Second, keep it fair and lawful. Cut any question that touches age, race, religion, family, or health, and treat everyone against the same job standard. Third, do not let a scorecard blind you. If the room tells you something the checklist missed, pay attention. Judgment is the whole point. And fourth, an interview is one narrow view, so back it with references, a practical task, and a trial where you can, because the best predictor of work is watching someone actually work. Use it to prepare questions that reveal the truth. Keep the judgment and the responsibility for a fair hire firmly yours. Quick recap. Let me pull it together. Level 0 is winging the interview with generic questions, getting rehearsed answers, and hiring on a gut feeling that is often just who is most like you. Level 1 is giving an AI assistant the role, your definition of great, and the candidate's resume, and briefing it to build role-specific questions about real past behavior with a clear sense of what a strong answer sounds like versus a weak one. Then you keep the questions fair, judge against the job, not against yourself, and back the interview with references and real work. The 5 asks are role-specific questions, real past behavior, what to listen for, probe the resume, and a practical task. What you get is an interview that predicts performance instead of measuring charm, before you make one of your most expensive decisions. If you have ever hired on a good feeling and regretted it a few months later, this is the workflow that helps you walk into an interview prepared to see who can actually do the job. And we made a free step-by-step course that walks you from level 0 to level 1 in plain language, no jargon, and no technical background needed. It shows you how to get an AI assistant onto your own computer, working with your own job descriptions and real candidates, so you can prepare on your actual roles instead of taking my word for it. Head to aifirstasasia.com/level1 and take the free course. Do it once before your next interview with 5 real situation questions and see how much more you learn. And if you want more of this practical AI workflows built for SME owners, honest and no hype, then subscribe. Level 1 is right there. Go take the step.